Hello and welcome to On 1300. I'm Xochitl Mora with the City of McAllen, and joining me today is Mr. Leo Lopez, Program Eligibility Specialist with Affordable Homes of South Texas, Inc. Thank you, Mr. Lopez, for joining us here today.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for having us here.
So we have a really exciting program to talk about that will help some of our small businesses here in McAllen. This is a great partnership between the City of McAllen and Affordable Homes of South Texas. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
This is a small business relief program where we are going to be processing loans up to a maximum amount of $25,000. These are for small to moderate sized businesses here in the City of McAllen, and these funds are targeted specifically towards businesses that were affected by the COVID-19 virus, businesses who have lost revenues because of the virus. These might be, for example, businesses that completely shut down for the period, so their revenues went down basically to zero. So the idea is to provide some relief for them. The relief will be in the form of a loan. The loan has a maximum amount of $25,000. If the business owner doesn't need that much, we can do less than that. The loan will be at a 0% interest rate, so it's a great opportunity in that sense. The loan will be, the repayment on the loan will be for 3 years, although there is a 4-month deferment on the payments. So basically, we were to make the loan, you don't actually start making payments till the 4th month. So it actually becomes a 40-month amortization rather than a 36. But again, it's at a 0% interest rate. And the loan is unsecured. There's no collateral. The business owner doesn't have to put something up as collateral.
So this sounds like a great opportunity for these really mom and pop shops here in our community, small businesses that were shuttered and maybe didn't have a lot of capital to keep their business going or to pay some of those expenses. So what are some of the expenses that this loan can be used towards?
The idea behind the program is to help businesses who had ongoing expenses that they were unable to meet because they were closed. So for example, maybe they still owed some accounts payable, some items that they'd already purchased but they didn't get around to paying them. Let's say that they have some rent that has continued to accrue. Every month that goes by, rent is due and they haven't paid the rent. Then the funds could certainly be used for that. They could be used to cover some payroll expenses. So anything that hasn't been paid up until now, we could step in and actually, as long as they provide documentation as to what the balance is, we would be in a position to cut a check to that third party and pay those expenses that they've already incurred. We do have some limitations, since we're on the subject. We're not going to be able to pay expenses or essentially reimburse the business owner for things that he's already paid. So if he was able to tap into some funds and use those to cover the expenses, then we deem those expenses to have been paid already. So the idea is to help the businesses with expenses that have not been paid, first of all, and then secondly, expenses that they continue to accrue as time goes by.
So this is an online application process, and that website is businesshelprgv.org. So we do encourage all of these mom and pop shops who would like to apply for this loan to do so. What other eligibility requirements are there for these mom and pop shops?
We've tried to keep it as simple as possible, but again, because these are federal funds that we are simply passing on to the community, there are some restrictions that we have to abide by. We were going to ask the applicants to provide, for example, the last tax returns that they have. If it's a business tax return, if it's a personal tax return from the business owner, we'd like to have that. The idea here is that these should be documents that they already have on hand. And then as a way of documenting the loss of revenues during the shutdown, we're again trying to keep it simple. If they can simply provide us their bank statements, say from the beginning of the year, January. If my memory serves, the shutdown basically started around March. Right. So then we should see that their deposits to their bank account would be pretty steady, let's say for January, February. In March, those would drop. April, May, June, again, they'd probably be less. And that would be a fairly quick way for us to document that they in fact have had a loss in revenues, and then that will allow us to document that. So yes.
And of course, on this website, there is that list of documentation that would be required for that application, as well as eligibility. And you were mentioning that part of this is, of course, to help these small businesses that are specifically located in the city limits of McAllen. So that is something that's really important, and some other features for these businesses.
Yeah, one of the main points that we're looking at is because the funds are being administered by the City of McAllen, or they're being provided by the City of McAllen, the business has to be located in the City of McAllen. We're going to be asking that the business not be in some sort of arrears relative to the City of McAllen, that they not be involved in a bankruptcy proceeding, things like that. Fairly basic, but if the business continues to be a going concern, they're in good standing with the state of Texas, no, they've paid the franchise tax, then those would be some of the requirements that we would look at. Again, we're going to try to keep it as simple as we can, but still maintain this as a loan. We're also going to be looking, given that these businesses have suffered a drop in revenues, the approval process, we're going to be looking at projections. For example, let's say the business owner tells us, well, I expect to be open in August. Okay, well, from August to December, I expect my revenues to begin to go up at such a rate. And we will look at that as a way of determining their ability to repay the loan. Obviously, if they were closed for several months, they were closed for several months. There's not much we can do about that. So we're going to try to base this in terms of a projection going forward, trying to look at the bright side instead of looking back and say, well, we know what happened in the past. No.
And so I think because these are federal funds, we are looking at, again, these smaller businesses here in McAllen that have maybe less than 50 applicants or employees, excuse me. Is there any income or revenue limitations or maximum or minimum, or is it just the size and locations of these businesses?
We're looking for, again, businesses that have less than 50 employees. We are going to be asking the business owner, if it's a very small business, what we would call a micro business, let's say there's only 5 employees, then it's a little bit easier to document because there's only 5 people to look at. If the business is a little bit larger than that, one of the things that we're going to be asking the business owner is for the business owner to certify that some of their employees are in fact low to moderate income, and that by tapping into these funds, he or she will be able to maintain some of those employments going forward. So the idea is to benefit the community as a whole, especially some of the employees within that business, and not just the business owner himself or herself.
I think it's really important to note that while we have these funds available and the loans can be anywhere from $1,000 to $25,000, of course there is a limit, and so it is first come, first serve based on filling out all of the application and providing the documentation and meeting all the eligibility requirements. So really they can head to that website, businesshelprgv.org, and look for all of that information, see if their business qualifies, and then apply. Is there a phone number anywhere they can call, or just go to that website?
I think the website is going to be their first place to get started. The website is going to ask them the documentation that is required. I believe they will be able to upload documents onto the website as well. And then within the website, there'll be a contact number, a phone number. Again, there's a small group of us within the organization that are going to be working on this project. I'm kind of the lead person right now, but there's a few other people in the group. So rather than having a specific phone number, we'd rather just keep it at the website.
Sure.
And the website will give them general information. In terms of how we're going to look at this, it's going to be first come, first serve, as you stated. However, it's first come, first serve of whoever provides us all the documentation that was required. Because if somebody, let's just say hypothetically, they apply, they get started, but they don't have all the documentation, that file is essentially on hold pending the rest of the documents. Someone else coming in and applying a day or two later, if they do have all their documentation, well then we're able to make a decision on that other file. So it's first come, first serve with a complete file.
Yes, okay. So we want to encourage all of the businesses here in the city of McAllen, small businesses that meet these eligibility requirements, to head to this website, businesshelprgv.org. Thanks to this partnership between the City of McAllen and Affordable Homes of South Texas, Inc., we're able to provide these funds to help small businesses that have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic here in our community. So we encourage everyone to head to the website and apply so that they they can help our community. Really, that's what this loan program is for, to continue benefiting our community. So thank you so much, Mr. Lopez, for joining us here this afternoon, and thank you for administering this program, and thanks to all of you for watching on 1300 for the City of McAllen. I'm Xochitl Mora.